had a week off. Good to see you, Keith. Did the track affect racing yesterday, do you feel?
Bruce, it dried out. We had some quite decent winds here in Melbourne, and that dried it out and probably enabled Primacy to perform as he does best on dry tracks. He slipped a little, but his record on dry tracks is excellent, almost a 50% strike rate, and he's probably a most underestimated horse.
And it was the Blue Diamond picture sorted out yesterday with the first of the preludes?
Well, I think both winners, both the Colt and the filly, were impressive. We'll have a look at those in due course. I don't know whether we saw a standout performance yesterday, so I'll still have an open mind. I did cast my eye to Sydney. I spotted an impressive winner there.
Well, let's cast our eye to Sydney. Max Presnell's back. Max, who was that impressive winner that Keith would have seen yesterday? You can read his mind.
Well, I hope it was Poyak. Yes, I can read his mind, but I just don't know where he's been over the past week, and that makes it a bit difficult. No, Poyak won the second race at Rosehill yesterday most impressively. The impressive part about it was that Poyak, to my eye, was a little over half fit. It was a rushed decision to race him yesterday, and certainly he will improve greatly as far as condition is concerned. It looked to be a wide-open two-year-old season, but I think Poyak is the most promising Golden Slipper type at this stage.
Fair enough. Let's go to the big race of the day, the Orr Stakes. Runyon coming back. He's third last at the moment. Golden Sword returning. Was caught on the fence a bit early. And Keith, Primacy, who was heavily back, was fourth on the rail in the early stages. Had a good run, far outside of him, the stablemate.
Primacy got the cart along all the way. He was back from 4s to 11 to 4. Golden Sword had drifted 7 to 4 out to about 13 to 4. Primacy, it was an excellent performance. This is his third Group 1 win. He's had 4 placings at the top level as well. A very good horse.
Asian Incline got a break here. Primacy after him now. Far behind them, Caulfield Cup winner coming back. Golden Sword gets a wriggle on here when Excited Angel gets alongside of him, but Dipman, who's having a great association with David Hayes, was able to get Primacy home, and well, he's running the old William Reid was excellent behind Hariba and also Lady Jackie, and he's run right up to that.
Yeah, sure, Golden Sword wasn't, well, she wasn't eye-catching, but she wasn't, he wasn't, and he wasn't disappointing either.
Now, that's the first time you haven't got the difference between a he and a she, right?
I was thinking about the Rubiton to come where it was woman-dominated.
Max, I'm wondering where he did go over the last week.
Yes.
Fra finished third. Excellent Australian Cup trial.
Gentlemen, one point I think that you're overlooking with this race. Primacy had the benefit of a run. I think that was vital when Primacy got the underfoot conditions to suit. Golden Sword, resuming after a spell, will improve greatly with that foundation performance. But that edge, that one run after a spell, I think gave Primacy an edge. I'm not taking anything away from him. He's a very good racehorse. We know that. He confirmed that yesterday, and Mick Dittman also confirmed he is still the best jockey in Australia.
Yeah, no argument on the fitness of the horses, Max. Golden Sword will improve for sure. And Fra, who finished third to Viandacross in the Australian Cup last year, in a good trial for this year's race.
I think he's a bit underrated, Fra, as is the winner. I mean, David Hayes has said, or I think the owner said he's the most underrated good horse in Australia, and David Hayes said he's my favourite at the moment. Keith, this is the boy you were talking about, Royal Rubiton, isn't it? In the Autumn Stakes. It was a good win. I thought Voting was an excellent run. He's got the shadow roll in about 7th or 8th placing, and Regal Tear didn't have a lot of luck at about the 200 where a horse ran out on him, and he's going very well.
Probably cost Regal Tear a minor placing, but this is Therese Payne aboard Royal Rubiton. She rode an excellent front-running race, rated this colt, or this gelding, beautifully, and it was a big performance. All women dominated. Kerry Denny's the trainer of Royal Rubiton, and she said that despite the success with this horse, and it has been outstanding, she just can't get an offer of another horse to join the stable.
He's only beaten the one. Star of Maple chasing hard, had a very good run. Voting getting up on the fence. I think he's a better horse when he hasn't got horses in or outside of him, and Regal Tear running on pretty well. But from an Australian Guineas point of view, you'd still, the feeling would be Mahogany would be superior to those horses.
For sure. He's a cut above them.
And my feeling is that from that race, Voting would be the best chance in the Australian Guineas. Any comment, Max?
I agree with you, Bruce. Again, you've got the fact of a hard, fit horse being superbly ridden, beating a horse that's about a half to 3/4 ready. That's Voting. Voting will improve the more of the two, and Voting is the horse to follow.
The sprint yesterday, Keith, was one of the great rides, Stephen King, on Capchat, able to get her through to win from what looked to be an impossible position.
It did too. Capchat was a ring drifter, 7s out to 12, and she looked at longer odds than that halfway down the straight. She squeezed through an outstanding ride by Stephen King on what might be a pretty good filly. She's headed to Sydney after this race. She was tried as a stayer last spring. That didn't work. but she'll get up to a middle distance, I think.
She was at the end of her tether when she was trying to stay, wasn't she? The Gunnison led with Pitcairn Edition outside. Now, Capchat's got a blue cap. She's about 2 off the rails and about 7th position at the moment. Al-Anon with a white blaze in front. Now, watch King. He goes here brilliantly, turns the mare side on almost, or the filly gets through, squeezes through, and the good thing here is the acceleration. Good horses can accelerate and take it. First up, she probably ran out of condition with 50 metres to go, but she had the momentum up to win.
Looked his run was okay. He'll improve too. He's having a second shot at the Oakley Plate, the race he won last year. I thought Al-Anon was a bit disappointing yesterday.
Yeah, he might be at the end. I spoke to you on Friday, Max, on the phone, and you mentioned Capchat out of this group. You obviously felt that she was the key to the race, and she probably had more potential than any other horse in the race.
Yes, a very promising sprinter. I would say that Capchat was at the same stage of a preparation as Golden Sword, but one was up against lesser rivals. Got a beautiful run, magnificent ride by Steve King, one of the best of the day, but I just don't think it was quite as good as Mick Dittman on Cerise and Black.
No, you tipped it in the Sydney Morning Herald. I read that on Saturday morning. You must have backed it, Max. You're so enthusiastic. Keith, what about Mick on Racer's Edge? You didn't have much luck on it in the first.
No, he didn't have a lot of luck on it, and he didn't have a lot of luck on the staying race earlier. This is the prelude for the Colts. This is Renacci. You'll see Renacci race wide. He corners very wide, but he's pretty good. Trainer Tony Vasil-Bruce said that Renacci was only 98% fit.
Well, the 3 horses to watch here are the 3 behind the 2 leaders. Cannibal King on the fence, the Hawks. Racer's Edge in the typical haze colours, and here's Renacci out wide, as Keith said. Now, this is the key here for Racer's Edge. You'll watch, runs into a dead end. Dittman has to stop riding with Renacci fully wound up with Cannibal King. Now, look at Racer's Edge, hooked out, round, giving them 3 lengths, gone, the bird flown. Renacci able to get over the top of Cannibal King.
Yes, he's pretty smart, Renacci, and Simon Marshall aboard yesterday. He's a stand-in for Rod Griffiths, who has a fracture of a bone in his leg. Touch and go whether Rod will be back in time for the Blue Diamond. Renacci's a definite hope in the race too.
Max?
Well, Renacci is a measuring stick. You regard Renacci, obviously, Keith, as one of your best 2-year-olds. Renacci beat a horse called Cannibal King, not in the same class as Royvac, really. Renacci would want to do far more to Cannibal King than he did yesterday to be a match for this up-and-coming 2-year-old we've got in Sydney.
All right, that's interesting. Tennessee Morn, bit of a giant killer, this filly. She won the Maribyrnong Plate, beating Racer's Edge in a great race on Derby Day, and yesterday was always travelling here. She's Greg Hall's swinging on her outside the hot favourite Fluoro. They both make the turn a bit awkwardly. Sitting on them and having a lovely run was Just Dance On, and gee, Love of Mary was a run, and this coming from well back for Lee Freeman. But look at Greg Hall, he's looked around there, Keith.
Very impressive win by Tennessee Morn. She's trained by Angus Armanasco. He's won the Blue Diamond 3 times. Scores a level. Fillies and Colts in the Blue Diamond, 11 each, and this might be one of the better chances of fillies, Tennessee Morn. And you mentioned the eye-catching run by the second place getter.
You Love a Mary really steaming home, but then Fluoro obviously gone, you'd say, from a Blue Diamond.
Pulled up Shinsaw. Pulled up Shinsaw, yeah.
The fillies, how did you reckon they lined up yesterday with the Colts, Max?
I prefer the Colts. Again, the condition plays a vital role. Love and Morn, I thought, was the best run to come out of that race, but I would certainly rather be backing a colt in the Blue Diamond than a filly.
Keith, are you with the Colts?
Oh, look, I'm still open-minded. I really don't think I've seen the Blue Diamond winner at his or her best yet, Bruce, so I'm going to delay my decision.
I think he might have run last Saturday at Flemington, the Blue Diamond winner, Mr. Vitality.
That could be right.
Deposition, geez, good fresh, isn't he? Won the Concord first up, Max, and he was able to win again yesterday, and he's won 6 races now between 1100 and 1200, a horse that we think more of as a miler.
Yeah, no, well, I don't think he's quite a miler. I think his best distances are the shorter journeys. He's at his best at this stage of his preparation, when a bit new, but he's a good racehorse under any conditions. You can see him charging down the outside here, flitter in the black colours, a little disappointing, and that's the Perfume Garden in the white cap and the Cummings colours, surging home very strongly. Slipped at the start. From the future point of view, the Perfume Garden is the horse to follow. Had a girth on her, I would say, which would compare with Keith Hillier's. Will improve greatly with the run, has a touch of class. And while I'm not taking anything away from Deposition, certainly I do, the Perfume Garden has the greatest scope for improvement.
I was going to say, it's going to take you about a year to get a fitter for the girth the same as yours. Rich Pageantry looked a fair run.
It was too, and luckily we showed that race instead of the last, which was not visible in Sydney's weather yesterday, Max.
Yes, well, we have been having a drought. Don't deny us a little rain, please.
That'll do you, Max. We'll catch you next week, Max. Australian
Okay.
Guineas next week will be great.
It will be too. A great meeting next week, please.
Thanks, Keith. Won't be eating much this afternoon. Coming up, an update. Kate returns.